Well, good morning, Hope River Church. I'm excited that you've joined us here on YouTube to watch this teaching time this morning for our church. If the chat's working right, I've been asking you, how many places have we met as a church since we started? I've got the count here for us. First place we met was at Gamble Farm Inn. Second place, the old paint mill. Third place, the Jersey Shore Middle School. Fourth place, the Wheeling Center. Fifth place was Ravensburg Park when we did our 1-year anniversary out there. Sixth place is the Jersey Shore YMCA, where we meet. It's where we've met for the most part, and where we meet every Sunday now. Seventh place was the Jersey Shore High School track. We met up there for the Relay for Life 1 year and did the church service up there, if you remember that. But the eighth place, if you can see my drawing there, it's your house. It's a beautiful picture, I think, for me at least, with a house and, come on, a chimney, a smokestack. That's a pretty good drawing. My wife thought it looked like a 4-year-old did it, but it might be an insult to 4-year-olds. One thing we've learned as a church from the very start is it is not about a building. We've learned that church is about you, the people, not about where we meet. So while this is a little different today, this is a lot different today. It's a lot different than what we're used to. We've learned that the church is about the people. So we, even though we're spread all across the place on couches and watching from TVs all over, we know that being together as a church is about us, not some building somewhere. I do not have an MD. I have an MDiv. So I'm going to save the medical advice for the experts. Obviously, I strongly encourage you to listen to their wise counsel from the Surgeon General, from the CDC, from my new favorite doctor, Dr. Fauci. Isn't he cool? Listen to what they're saying. We want to make sure we're protecting the most at-risk people among us and trying to do our part to flatten the curve. But I'm going to let them deal with all the medical stuff. Instead, today I want to focus on our spiritual well-being. Now, we're in the middle of a 40 days of prayer. We've been doing this study based on some teaching from Rick Warren for, this is day 22 today. And I really debated about what I wanted to speak on today, but I want to continue that study on prayer because we're studying and learning that prayer is valuable at all times, but it may be especially in the midst of a crisis. One of the first Sundays, we talked about how prayer is not a fire extinguisher. You don't just get it out when there's an emergency. But when there is an emergency, when there is a fire, well, of course you get out the fire extinguisher and you use it. So prayer isn't just for emergencies, but when there is an emergency and we're in the middle of a crisis, prayer is exactly what we need to be doing. So today, I'm going to continue this series that we've been doing on prayer. And today we're going to be talking about how we need to pray without ceasing. Again, if I could get all the technical things right, there are some notes down below. So some of the scriptures that we're going to be talking about today. And the first one is out of Ephesians 6:18, and it says this: pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. Stay alert and be persistent in your prayers for all the believers everywhere. Pray in the Spirit at all times. What does that look like, and how do we do that? Well, I think there are two habits that we can develop that can allow us to be praying throughout our day. So I'm encouraging you to work on praying throughout your day by developing those two habits. And the first habit is this: that we need to have an ongoing conversation with God. That's what prayer is. Prayer is just an ongoing dialogue that we have with God. That passage in Ephesians said to pray on every occasion as the Spirit leads. On every occasion. In 1 Thessalonians 5:17, in the New American Standard Bible, it says it to pray without ceasing. I like the way the New Living translates it. It says this: never stop praying. So how on earth do we never stop praying? Well, the reality is, if our relationship with other people look like our prayer time with God, it might look something like this. When your child comes and says, "Hey, Dad, I got something I need to talk about," we might say to them, "Well, we need you to schedule an appointment." And you can either schedule an appointment for first thing in the morning, before meals, or at bedtime, because that's the only time we're going to talk. Or imagine this: your spouse comes to you and says, "Hey, there's something we need to talk about." You can say to them, hey, I want you to make a list of all the things you want to talk to me about. And then tonight, before I go to bed, we'll have that conversation. We'll start talking about everything that's on your list. But you do need to know that as we're talking, I'm probably going to be falling asleep. But we'll talk then. Or when your boss, well, back when we went to work, when your boss came in and said, hey, we need to talk about something, can you imagine saying to him, I've got so many high priority things going on. Can you just take a number and I will get to you as soon as I can. It's important to me, but just not right now. Take a number and I'll get to it when I can. See, that's how a lot of us approach our prayer time with God. It's a scheduled time before the day starts or at the end of the day or just at meal times, or it's just at bedtime maybe with our long list of things, or maybe it's just something that we want to get to but we just never do. If we treated our prayer time the same way we treated relationships with other people, if they were like that, it would never work out in relationships, and it doesn't work out in our time with God either. With God, it's supposed to be an ongoing conversation throughout the day. So that when a friend calls you and says, man, I'm just concerned about this coronavirus, I'm anxious about something, you don't have to say, I'd like to pray for you, but I'll have to wait until bedtime tonight to do that. No, when that happens, just reach out and pray with them right then. Pray for God's comfort, pray for God's peace, pray for God's protection. Pray that God will use them throughout this whole thing. You can pray with them right there, whether it's on the phone, from a safe 6-foot distance in the grocery store, or in an email, wherever that is. You can pray for them whenever that situation comes up. I think we need to treat our ongoing daily conversation with God, we need to treat it a lot more like we do our cell phones. Again, if the chat's working right, would you throw in the chat how many times you think the average American checks their cell phone every day? We'll just type a number in there. How many times does the average American check their phone every day? Do not put the number of the person sitting beside you. Put your guess, what you think the number is of how many times the average American checks their phone every day. And don't Google it yet. I already did the Googling. And when I Googled it, I found a lot of different answers, but they all seem to kind of center around a study that was done that says the average American checks their phone 58 times a day. 58 times every day. Now, if you're a millennial, the number's a little higher. According to Inc.com, the average millennial checks their phone 150 times a day. Our conversations with God should look a whole lot more like our interactions with our cell phones, where it's just an ongoing, constant, all-day relationship between us and God. That's what He wants, is for us to have that kind of conversation with Him. So if we're going to pray throughout our day, we're going to kind of shift our thinking of what prayer looks like, and it's really just going to be that ongoing, all the time conversation that we have with God. There's a second part to what that looks like if we're going to be praying throughout the day. And so we need to set aside specific times to pray during the day. When David wrote the Psalms, he said, I will praise you 7 times a day. And Jesus gives us examples of praying. He prays early in the morning. If you remember, sometimes the disciples get up and He's gone. He's out praying. He prays during the day. You remember He feeds the thousands and He sends the disciples off in His boat and He just goes off to pray during the day. Or He prays at nighttime. The Garden of Gethsemane. He's up praying all night while everyone else is sleeping. So Jesus prays at various specific times of the day. So sometimes people ask me, well, what's the best time for us to pray? What's that time supposed to be? Well, my answer is there's no set time, but my answer would also be, what's your best time of day? Are you a morning person? Well, then make prayer your time in the morning. Are you a midday person? That's when you're at your best? Well, then make that your prayer time when you're at your best. Are you a night owl? Well, then make nighttime that time that you pray. Whatever time of day you're at your best, that's when you need to make that designated prayer time. When I go to my parents' house, they're both in their late 80s now, I always ask them for a list of things to do, some things that I need to accomplish, and things that I need to take care of. And it often is things like changing a light bulb that they can't reach, or now in the digital age, it's helping them fix their things on their iPad. There's different ways that they come up with lists of things that they just need help doing. Well, that same idea of creating a list is incredibly beneficial for our daily prayer time as well, that specific time when we're praying throughout the day. If you've been doing our 40 days of prayer with us, you got a journal. And in the back of the journal, there's a section there just to have prayer requests. And if you were a part of a small group, you've already started your list. We're just continuing, even though we're not meeting in person, we're continuing to pray for those needs and pray for those people. So you can use just a generic page like that as a place to keep track of your prayer needs. My wife had got me a prayer journal. And in it, you just write in the different needs that you have, different things you're praying about, different scriptures and families and friends and different needs that are going on in the world. And you can list those in there and be praying for those things. YouVersion Bible app. They've just come out with a new thing. I think it's a week or two ago now, called the Prayer. I think it's called the Prayer app. Within the YouVersion Bible, though, you can keep track of different prayer requests. And it's almost like note cards or flashcards. You can pray for that request, and you can actually share it with friends on YouVersion and just kind of swipe through those prayer requests to keep track of them all. A friend of mine in the church, Phil, in his Bible, he's got this, well, it looks like a rather ratty old piece of paper because he's been praying over it so much, just a list of all the different people he's been praying for. So it doesn't have to be some specific way you do it, but some way to track that list of people that you're praying for and situations you're praying for can be incredibly helpful so that you have that specific time during the day. So what does that look like in the era of COVID-19? Maybe it looks like you taking at 19 minutes after the hour, you pray for 19 seconds every 3:19, 4:19, 5:19 throughout the day. You just take 19 seconds and pray for the situation. Or maybe it's at the 1900 hours military time, right? That'd be 7 o'clock at night. Maybe it's 7:19 or 7 o'clock rather. You would just pray for 19 minutes and just pray for the frontline medical workers. Pray for our national and state and local leaders. Pray for the scientists who are trying to find ways to help people get better as well as a vaccine. Pray for the people who have it, for the families of those who have passed away from it, people who are afraid that they're going to get it, praying for people who are just lonely in this situation, in this season of social isolation. Whatever that looks like for you, it's setting aside specific times during the day that you can be praying, where it's more of that direct conversation where you're listing things that you're praying about and for. It's partly an ongoing conversation, but then there's also that specific time where you're journaling and praying for the needs that you have. That first scripture we looked at, Ephesians 6:18, said, you pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. And that's how you have a more dynamic prayer life, which is what we've been talking about, is by spending that ongoing time praying throughout the day, but also some specific time when you're at your best, bringing those concerns that you have to God. This is a difficult and trying time we're living in right now. And there's a lot of people who just need your prayer support. And I would challenge you that as we've been learning, prayer is a very powerful tool. It's how God responds and interacts with this world through the prayers of his people. And we've learned that, we sometimes don't have because we haven't asked. So I want to challenge you, maybe especially right now, to make sure you're spending that time in prayer. Let me pray for us right now. God, even though this is an incredibly odd place for us to meet for church, God, I thank you for the technology that makes this possible. And God, we're always aware of why we're having to meet like this because of all the things going on with the coronavirus. And we would just collectively pray for those who are offering help and hope to people. God, I pray for those who have it. I pray for those of us who have not yet gotten it, that you would just protect us. And God, I pray that in all of this, that you would use us, the church, to be your hands and feet into this world, to bring hope to people who are hurting. God, it's a difficult situation we're in. And I pray that we would be a source of hope. As we often talk here at our church, Hope River, that hope would flow through us to hurting people all around us. God, thank you for the time we can spend like this in time studying your word this morning. And I just pray your blessing on those who are watching this morning. Amen. Well, let me do just a couple quick housekeeping things. First, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know when more videos come on. Hope River Kids, I'm excited for what's coming up for you guys at 10:30 this morning. Two of the young ladies in our church, Anna and Mabel, have recorded some teaching time for you, including the videos that you've been watching from Saddleback for our 40 Days of Prayer. They're going to continue that for you. And that video is going to premiere at 10:30 today, right here on the same channel. Third thing, in our small group, or in our journals, at the beginning of each week, is a section for the small groups. This week it's on page 93. All those videos for the small groups are on our channel. They're under the playlist called Small Groups. I know, pretty original, huh? So, watch those. And even if you don't have the journal, watch those videos. They're going to give you some great teaching on what prayer life should look like and how we can make a more powerful prayer life for us. I'd also encourage you to follow us on Facebook. It's just simply Hope River Church. And interact there. Connect with people and connect with one another. We're putting some things together to help us stay more connected, some calling options where we can do some chatting online. And all that's going to be coming very soon, but Facebook can be one of those tools to just help us stay connected during this time. And lastly, I'll just mention the cost of ministry goes on. So if you're already part of Hope River Church, let me just encourage you to continue to support the church and to give. You can do that through our website, hoperiverchurch.com, or our app. You can text to give. To do that, you just simply type in or text Hope River. Get it right. You text Hope River and then the amount 50 to this number 31031. So you'll just type Hope River 25 to the number 31031, and you can text to give that way. Or you can always just mail it to our P.O. Box 872 here in Jersey Shore. All of our contact information for the church is on our website, hoperiverchurch.com. Connect with me there. I'm going to do my best to stay connected for all of us as a church during this time. There's a place on that website you can submit prayer requests so we can be praying for you and the struggles that you have. We need to stay connected now more than ever before. Introverts, I know you are loving this time of social isolation. It's up your alley. Your extroverted friends, though, are not doing so well. So reach out to them and connect with one another. We serve a powerful God who's able to come across the internet and YouTube channels and all of that and allow us to connect with one another and to learn from his word in times like this morning. So thanks for being here with us. We serve that same powerful God then who's able to also bring hope to a hurting world and hope to this coronavirus situation. So keep praying and make that a part of your daily life. Hey, thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next Sunday here at 10 o'clock on the same YouTube channel. And Hope River Kids, don't forget, at 10:30 today, we're going to premiere that video. See you next Sunday.